Hi everybody, my name is Lauren and I am the omnivorous bookworm. So I just made a video about tropes that I didn't realize that I hated, but I kind of do. Well, some of them I hate more than others. So I wanted to do the opposite because I don't want to be just negative, be positive too. So these are tropes that I didn't realize how much I love them until maybe recently. So yeah, but some of them I love more than others, or sometimes I love them when they're done well, but they're very rarely done well. So the first one I have is time travel. So I know this one is really controversial, and I understand why, because I feel like time travel is not usually done very well. And it's hard for me to think of times when it is done very well. But I guess what I love a story where a character goes back in time and like they're from a modern age, but they are in this, day of yore, and they're comparing different things and how things are different. I just really like, I guess, that fish out of water type of story. I find it really interesting, fascinating. I think it could be funny, but it's not usually done very well. So I understand why people don't like it. And I think I usually end up being disappointed because I get really excited about it. And then when I read it, I'm like, oh, you did that? No. But it doesn't bother me, like, if it doesn't make sense as much. I don't know, unless it really is. I think it's better when they go back in time and they decide to stay back in time, because then you don't have to worry about the ramifications in the future and stuff like that. I think that's my unexpert opinion about that. All right, so the next one I have is when someone is stuck somewhere and can't get out, which is really funny because one of the things I just realized is one of the things that I didn't like is when they're lost or when they're on a road trip. So apparently I don't like the road trip, but I just like being stuck somewhere. I'm pretty sure this is something about my personality. I don't know. I especially like when people are stuck somewhere, if it's like a closed circle mystery, or if there's just really bad weather and a romance and they can't leave. I don't know. I really enjoy that trope. I think it just makes it's a great way to push people together that have no other reason to be together in a believable way. So I guess that's why I like it so much. And I think I kind of like it when the weather is really bad and you can't leave the house. So maybe vicariously I like that in my stories. I'm not sure. Okay, so the next one I have, I think a lot of people like this. I don't think I'm very unique in this one. So a good twist or surprise connection. So when you read the story and there's some kind of a twist, or there's some kind of way that these people are connected that you didn't know at the beginning, if that's done well, I really, really enjoy it. If it's not done well, it doesn't ruin it for me. It doesn't bother me. Unless it's super cheesy. But I that's just something, like, if a book has that, it just pushes it to the next level for me, which is why I guess I love mystery so much. It's just something that I really enjoy. Prickly or difficult characters. So I love this, especially in a romance, or especially in any genre, really. If you have a character who's a little rough around the edges, they're not we can see that they're not a bad person, like they're not evil, but they're not the nicest person. I love those characters. I don't know, I have a special place in my heart for those characters. I'm reading right now a romance by Christina C. Jones. It's so good. I'm so excited to have found her romance. This is the first one I've read by her. And that's what I was thinking about when I put this here, is that she has a main character, or the hero is pretty prickly, but while he's saying all these prickly things, we see him doing all these really nice things, and he has a dog, and you can just see that he's such a sweet person, but he's like saying things that are like, he's obviously grumpy, he's not happy, and there's probably like reasons why he's like that. And so I really like when authors can do that well, whereas we're seeing this person say all these things, but then we watch them and they're actually like doing nice things, but they're prickly on the outside. Yeah. Or when we see that person kind of warm up to our, usually it's the main character, maybe they warm up to the main character, or the main character themselves is prickly and they sort of warm up. Watching that process, I love that in a book. I eat that stuff up. Okay, the next one I have is funny misunderstandings, or like a comedy of manners, but not for conflict. So when a lot of people will say, especially in romance, oh, they don't like miscommunication, and I agree with that, especially if it's a simple miscommunication. But what I realized is that I love a miscommunication if it's something funny. So there's some sort of like a language difference that's, somebody saying something, but it means something else in this language, or vice versa, or something. Or if somebody thinks something about somebody because they have a miscommunication or a misunderstanding, but it's something funny, and then that gets resolved later in the book, then I'm perfectly fine with that. As long as it's not a source of conflict, if it's something funny, I love that. And I really enjoy like a comedy of manners, like The Importance of Being Earnest. I remember reading that, and it was just, I was like laughing. I thought it was so funny. Or just, and you get to do all these like, when there's like weird puns or weird things happening. So like a comedy of manners, obviously that would be on the extreme end. And most books don't have that as much. But even if it's just a simple misunderstanding where it's like not part of like the main plot, but if it's a misunderstanding for comedic effect, I love that. I really enjoy that. But again, that's usually pretty minor. And then the last one I have is an obnoxious zealot or snob. So I don't love them, obviously. Like I don't love them like, oh yay, but I love to hate them. So I realized I've been reading Anthony Trollope, and I read my fourth book by him, the fourth full-length novel, and I didn't like it as much. I'm going to put a review up about it, Dr. Thorne. And I think part of the reason I realized I didn't like it is that, Anthony Trollope does such a great job. Like he's so good at making these really obnoxious, like insufferable people, especially religious, insufferable people. I read Miss Mackenzie by him, and he does such a great job. Like they're so horrible. Like you hate them so much. But it's so, like, I love it because it's like you just hate them so much that it makes the story that much more enjoyable, because this person is so obnoxious and they're such a snob. Of course, I want this person to get their like comeuppance at the end, like in some way, even if it's just like somebody tells them off or something. And if that doesn't happen, I'm pretty disappointed. But if a writer can make a really good snob, or especially like a religious zealot who's just so annoying and obnoxious, and then we find out they're a hypocrite, or we find out something happens to them. I mean, nothing. I mean, they're not real people, so but nothing really bad has to happen to them. But like, if they get their comeuppance at the end, oh, that's so sweet. I love that. I love to find that in a book, and I don't know if anybody does that better than Anthony Trollope. He is. I wish he could draw his like good main characters as like full rounded as he can do his like obnoxious religious zealots. So those are my tropes that I didn't know that I loved, but I really do. And so let me know, what are some tropes that maybe you didn't realize that you loved? Maybe there's something like really specific that you didn't think about as something that you would enjoy until recently, or if it's something a little bit, different or unique, let me know down below. And thank you so much for watching. I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.